Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Love All. It was my husband's number in college when he played for Villanova. It's our 21st episode. 21 was his number. So, lots to talk about. I feel like since last week, since our last show, so many things have popped up in the tennis world. So I'm excited to talk to you, Blair.
Oh my gosh, it's never boring, Kim. I always, it's so funny. I think my friends are like, wait, so like, what do you talk about? I'm like, there's never a shortage. There is always something happening. You cannot sleep. You cannot eat. Something is happening in the world of tennis. So yes, lots to talk about today. Where are you, Kim? What's happening in your life?
I'm still in my same hotel room in Antwerp. Heat wave going around this part of the world, and dropped off my daughter. She's training near Brussels. And so she's going to be gone for a few days until Sunday, where she's actually playing a game in the arena where my husband coached. So kind of a nice full circle moment there. So I'll be very proud watching her on Sunday.
Oh, that is so cool. I love that. Well, I am still in Texas, where it is also, Kim, very hot.
Okay. Isn't it always though?
It is. No. That's part of the joke, that's kind of our state of being in the summer. Although I will say I love the Euro no air conditioning. I cannot stand in the summer in the US. And I grew up in Florida. I live in Texas now, where I am, it's blazing outside and I need full on Antarctic gear when I go inside. I'm frozen indoors. So anyway, it's not my favorite. I would thrive in Europe in the summer. That would be totally my jam. But anyway, I am here for now. I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to New York. Kim, we've talked a little bit about it, but
yes,
Wimbledon is coming to Central Park. I am so excited.
This is so fun. I'm so excited to see this first edition pop up in New York City.
I have questions about the logistics, but they are allegedly laying down a Wimbledon grade grass court over Wollman Rink in Central Park, where currently there are pickleball courts. They are going to transform it into a Wimbledon wonderland. So I will be reporting from the ground for all of you.
Can't wait to get the information. I want to see if they actually got some of the grounds crew from Wimbledon to go over there and put the courts up.
No, they did.
They did?
I can confirm that they did. We have gotten a stamp of approval from the Wimbledon groundskeeper. So we'll have all the details for all of you in the next few days. I'm hoping to do some stuff on the Love All social channels. So that's to come. And then Kim will be at Wimbledon as well. So we're going to get some, first-hand dispatches from Kim Clijsters from Wimbledon. So lots to look forward to. The Kimfluencer returns. All right, Kim, let's head into Henley's headlines without further ado. As you mentioned, there's so much to talk about. And the first story is a heavy one. 26-year-old former Wimbledon champion Markéta Vondroušová has been sanctioned with a 4-year suspension by an independent tribunal for refusing a doping test back in December of 2025. And there's a lot to break down here. And I think maybe I'll start by just giving people a little refresher. So again, back in December, Markéta Vondroušová had an anti-doping or a doping officer appear at her door at 8 p.m. Now, this was outside of her whereabouts hour. So players 365 days a year have to tell the ITIA where they are going to be for 1 hour out of 24 in a day. I did not know, and you didn't know either, this is something we learned through this case, that players can also be tested outside of that one whereabouts hour. And if you make contact with the doping control officer, the tester, you then are compelled to be tested. So for instance, if they call your apartment and you answer the phone, that is considered contact. You then are compelled to be tested. If you are not, that is a refusal, and a refusal can be punished by up to 4 years of a suspension. That's where the suspension starts, is at 4 years. Now, we knew that this happened because Markéta Vondroušová posted about it in December. She posted a picture of the doping control officer at her front door. And, one of the things, she said a number of things in that post, but she said, quote, "It's not about avoiding testing. It's about respect for the rules that we follow and for the personal life that we are entitled to." This would indicate to me, Kim, she had no idea that refusing this test could result in a 4-year ban. She might have also not known that she could be tested outside of that one whereabouts hour. And so I think that there are factors to be considered there. She, again, that's not an excuse. It is your responsibility as a player to know what the rules are. But here she is now with a 4-year ban. She can appeal that to CAS. She has 21 days to do that. I'll be honest, I don't know that she's going to receive a different outcome than what the tribunal ended up handing down to her. She did cite an acute stress reaction. She mentioned Petra Kvitova's situation, a countrywoman of hers who, of course, had a home invasion where she was seriously injured. She mentioned that all of these things were going through her mind. But one of the things that we found out yesterday, Monday, when this news broke, I was able to get on a call with the ITIA, who they've done their best to answer every question, to be as transparent as possible through this entire process. And I found out, along with several other journalists on the call, that she actually signed a paper. She interacted with the doping control officer and signed a paper saying that she was refusing the test, and then proceeded to leave the apartment and go walk her dog. That is a tough detail. I don't know, Kim. There are so many factors here. To me, I feel like two things can be true. This can be really sad. You saw many. She actually posted a really long Instagram post where she talked about the mental effect of this on her, and really through the past several months, wondering what was going to happen and how that's affected her. She described all of that in detail. Much player support in the comment section. I think it can be true that this is a really sad situation, and also that she very clearly broke the rules.
Yes, but if you don't know the rules, then it's hard to break the rules from her end. I do think that she felt like it was a very unfair approach. Thinking from what she posted back in December, to me, it feels like she thought it was a very unfair, like, you can't just show up here on a random time and expect me to kind of give up my evening. And because sometimes they're at your house, for 3-4 hours, like, depending on, how quickly you can go to the bathroom. And did she, was she stubborn maybe, and was like, no, I'm drawing the line here. Like, you're crossing a line, and this is being taken too far. And also, she obviously didn't know the consequences that could follow from this. So I feel very, very bad for her. I understand the rules are the rules, but I do think it's unfortunate that she's the first, think, in a situation like this where this happens. And unfortunately, there always has to be a first to open up other people's eyes and to make other people understand like that this is actually the rule, and you have to abide by these rules. So we were talking about it, I think, earlier or yesterday, is that what is the consequence going to be, is that people are not going to open their doors anymore, or there's going to be a different rule. Like, it's and again, like, I always feel a little bit like, even in Belgium, like, I had a lot of weird people showing up at my door, ring my doorbell. I had shutters on my, doors, windows. Like, I was blocked off from once I got home. Like, I felt safe, but there were moments where I had stalkers, where I had weird mail in my mailbox. So I'm kind of the first person to say, like, I wouldn't have opened my door if I would have probably picked up my what's it called, Blair?
The little intercom?
The intercom, yeah. The phone, like, and talk to somebody and said, like, who are you? Like, but I don't know if I would have let them in if I, in that situation, I didn't know the rules. So I feel very bad for her. It does feel like, on a human level, that 4 years for, is, to be treated the same as somebody who tests negative, who has bad intentions, who wants to cheat the system, is, to me, doesn't feel right. But I understand that they're the rules. I think she also said in her quote, I don't know if it's true, but I assume it is that she tested negative 3 days later. So yeah, it's just a very, very unfortunate situation. And, also for her now, this is supposed to be a super fun time of the year where you're super proud and a lot of memories pop up and her winning Wimbledon. And, even like a couple of weeks ago, I saw the video of her match point and her sisters in the stand crying, right before the point, they're already crying, and very, very nice moments. And then now that gets kind of overshadowed by something like this. And it just unfortunate that this has to happen this way.
Yeah, she was the Berlin defending champion also. So yeah, like you said, this is a key part of her season, but there are a few other things I wanted to add. One of the things that was said on the call, and I don't exactly know who said it because I was watching on my little phone screen, but I can tell you the CEO of the ITIA, Karen Morehouse, was on the call. And this was the quote: "We cannot have a testing program where a player is in a better position by refusing a test than they are testing positive." That made a lot of sense to me.
I get it, but listen, I don't know enough, but there has to be some kind of she tested negative a couple of days later. What are you doing? You can't take something that's all of a sudden going to be, I assume, out of your system literally a couple of days later, right? If you're trying to do something bad and cheat the system, and it's going to be in your system for a while, I assume. And so is there maybe a little bit of, a way for, this kind of example? I don't know, maybe something can change a little bit. Listen, a 2-year ban for a tennis player is already bad enough. How old is she now? 28?
26.
26? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's until her 30. So that's a very, very long break. And I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel right. I get from where, what you're saying, that quote, but it still doesn't feel right because she didn't cheat the system. There's an honorary kind of feeling behind doing something on purpose and not, you know what I mean? The mistake of, I guess.
I do. This is tough though, because, I did a lot of reporting on the anti-doping system when it was run by the ITF. It was, I think, probably safe to say it was underfunded. They didn't have a ton of resources. It is much different now than that it's been under the ITIA, which was formed about 5 years ago. And the WTA, the ATP, the ITF, the Grand Slams all contribute funding to the ITIA so that they have a comprehensive program. And I think when you look into the history of doping, dopers tend to be, they're ahead of the curve. They are steps ahead of the testing. And so do I think that Markéta Vondroušová was doping and refused the test because she knew she was going to test positive? No, I sure don't.
No,
but I do think there are
not.
People out there who could potentially do that. And I do think that there are substances that can be out of your system in 24 hours that aren't out of your system right now. Again, I'm not a doping expert, but I tend to be a little bit of a cynic when it comes to this stuff. Maybe that's unfair of me, but I think in order to have an effective program, you have to assume that people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Do you disagree?
No, I agree, but then Sinner proved, what I mean? He actually tested positive. He got tested positive. There's they can prove, yes, I tested positive, but it was an accident. This is an unfortunate situation as well. And I don't, again, I'm sure, I don't know I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a detective trying to investigate this whole case, but there has to be enough proof from her side that she, I don't know, was not doing anything bad and trying to take an illegal supplement or whatever it is. It's I don't know. I just don't feel like it's fair.
Well, that was one thing that was brought up on the call we have had people who have tested positive and they have not been banned for 4 years. And the response to that was they were able to explain how the substance got in their system, and a refusal, there is no way to prove why you refused.
I know, but she had no substance in her system.
We don't think so, but could someone possibly have? Again, I don't think that was the case with Vondroušová. No, but again, I understand why this has to be the ruling. Do I hope that she appeals and can, knock it down to 2 years? I sure do. But I do want to mention also on the 2-year front that another thing that's been floating around is people have been talking about whereabouts violations, and the fact that those, with Jensen Brooksby, with Emer, with who else am I forgetting? There was another one fairly recently where they have that 3 strikes system, where if you are not in your whereabouts window 3 times in 1 year,
in a year, yeah,
yes, you are then charged with an anti-doping rule violation. That penalty starts at 2 years and not 4. And I asked directly on this call, I said, why is that better? Why is that seen as not as bad when 3 times you essentially refused? Now, could it be that you didn't refuse? Could it be that your agent forgot to change it? And 100%. But it also could be that you just didn't answer the door because, I don't know, maybe you have something in your system. And the answer to that was, the whereabouts system is where the ITAA gives some leeway to players for, quote, life to happen, where there was some miscommunication and it didn't get changed in the app where you were supposed to be that next day, or you knew you were supposed to be there and your mom got sick and you rushed to her house to go be with her at 6 a.m. in the morning, whatever it is. That is where they give allowances for, again, the term that was used was, life happens. And we understand that this is a really difficult thing to have to do as an international athlete playing in different places, sometimes every few days. So I thought that was interesting, is that is sort of the mentality behind why the whereabouts violation is not seen as serious.
Let me tell you, I, over the years, have known players who were on 2 strikes, and it's a very, very stressful situation, because back in the day, it
stresses me out just hearing about it.
I know, they used to tell us 3 negatives, 3 strikes is equal to a positive test. Like, that's what we were, told, like, back in the day. I had 1 strike once because I was doing some renovations at my house. Like, I had a leak and I had to go to a different place, and I forgot to change it, or forgot to tell. I don't know who was in charge of it. Maybe it was Brian. I don't know, but I forgot to mention.
Wait, Brian was in charge of your whereabouts?
Yeah, he did for a while. Yeah, yeah.
Man, I don't know if I trust my husband with that.
Listen, maybe there's probably nothing scarier to him.
That's true. He knew the consequences.
Yeah, but it is scary. Like, I was on 1, and I remember them being at my door in Belgium at the main property, and then I couldn't be there on time. You have like 20, I don't know, you have a certain amount of minutes or something, or to get there. And I couldn't get there on time. And yeah, so I had 1 strike, and it's very, very stressful. Yeah. Like, you keep checking it, and but again, it's yeah, I get from both sides. They're trying, obviously we all want a clean sport, and we want we want players to be tested out of competition. Like, it's all very important. But yeah, I don't know, there's something about this whole situation that just doesn't emotionally feel right.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you there. And so we wish Marketa the best if she does appeal. And again, that comes with financial cost to her. It's expensive to appeal. We were talking last week about Kamil Majchrzak, who decided not to appeal his ruling. He knew exactly where his positive test came from, and he decided not to appeal because of the time and the amount of money that it was going to take. So
maybe the PTPA can pay for it.
You know what, Kim? That's not a bad idea. Marketa, get on the phone with the PTPA. That's actually really smart. All right. Should we move on? Anything else you want to say about that?
No, that was it. I closed my case.
I love it. Well, Corentin Moutet, it's not the first time we've talked about him here on the Love All podcast. Ironic, perhaps. Well, Corentin, when he was in Queens last week, dropped one unintentional F-bomb and then 6 very intentional F-bombs in his on-court interview. We found out in the last few days that he got fined $40,000 for said 7 F-bombs. I got this clip sent to me so many times by people asking what I would have done in that situation as somebody who does those on-court interviews.
What would you have done, Blair? Tell me.
I think the thing that I said to, I tried to respond to the, everybody who sent it to me, but you can't Monday morning quarterback that kind of thing. It is so hard to predict how you would have responded in the moment. Jenny Drummond was the interviewer, someone who I really like and have a lot of respect for. I actually did have an F-bomb dropped. Some of you might remember I put it on my stories during the Dallas Open and people thought I dropped the F-bomb. I was like, guys, have you met me? Fun fact, like Kim doesn't drink. I don't swear. I not at all, and just never have. I kind of just never started.
Good for you.
Like, why would I? I don't even hear it when other people do. It just sort of goes in one ear and out the other, but I personally don't at all. Anyway, so it was Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. The F-bomb was dropped in a very similar way to how Moutet said it in his initial answer, where, I was thinking, F-bomb and blah, 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 and then keeps going. And my response was, well, who knew we needed a parental advisory for this on-court interview? And then I went on and asked the next question.
Response.
And then when I saw him eating lunch later that day, I was like, Alex, you can't do that.
See, but that's and again, I'm not promoting swearing on air or anything like that, but I have to say in Europe, the F-bomb, we don't understand a lot of times the impact of it, or how what the culture is around the word, like on air and on, because you hear it so many times, right? Like it's almost like it's a part of your vocabulary and or for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't seem I don't think we feel like it's as bad or as confronting, or it can be as shocking, to be, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to say it's okay what he did, but I think the biggest lesson I learned is that he doesn't like to be told what to do or what not to do.
Exactly. Well, that was the other thing that I said, she corrected him immediately, and it did sound very much like a tone I might have had when my kids were younger, in the 4 or 5 range. And Moutet responded by acting like a 4 or 5-year-old.
Right. Maybe avoiding it would have drawn less attention to it.
Perhaps, where he wouldn't have been like, oh, you didn't like that? Let me say, and for those of you who didn't hear the interview, so he says it the first time, seemingly by accident, to describe his tennis. She corrects him and then gives him back the mic, and he says, bleep, 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 just 3 in a row. And then she says, oh, no. And then asks one more question, and you can just see it in his eyes.
Was this all on BBC too?
Yes, exactly. Which that was, I have a friend who pointed out that, what are the fines like over there? I would imagine that there is some penalty for having 7 F-bombs dropped on BBC.
I'm sure the tournament included those.
Well, correct. Which could have factored into the $40,000.
What was his prize money? Was it like 43 or something?
I don't think it was that much. He lost in the second round. This was after his first round match, lost in the second round. I believe he ended up owing money when he left the site in Queens. And somebody, I think it was my friend Bastian, said on Twitter, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Which I thought summed it up pretty well.
Yes.
Listen, I see both sides of it. Yes, there is a discomfort level if you are the interviewer, you're trying to manage the situation. I think that was the biggest sort of response was this was disrespectful to Jenny, the interviewer. And yeah, I think it was. Do I think it was disrespectful in a way that was going to keep me up at night if I were the interviewer? No, it was probably something I would have laughed at after, and it might have been something
the crowd
that she
was
laughed
laughing.
At. Yes, right, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like these fines have been sending some major messages, like thinking back to Vallejo and even the Vondroušova case. Like this is cautionary tale city over here in tennis right now, don't you think? Where it's like, okay, well, I would prefer to not owe $40K. Not that I think a player is going to go out next week and decide to drop 7 F-bombs in a post-match interview, but it's a cautionary tale.
It is. Like, think about like the last, couple of years, it's been it's been some kind of cream that, the Sinner's trainer had on his finger.
Watch out for those pharmacies in Italy.
Yeah. Like meat in South America. Yeah. It's been some supplements. Like there's, a lot to worry about and to be cautious about. So it's stressful.
A lot of people mentioned the fact that Zverev was fined around that same amount when he demolished the umpire's chair. Or was it it was one of the Mexican tournaments, I believe, at which, that happened a few years ago. And that was just a shocking scene. And he was fined around the same amount. And I would say the problem is not that the F-bomb fine was high. It's that bashing a umpire chair, like demolishing your racket on the chair, like coming inches from a chair umpire's foot, that should be higher. And again, going back to, somebody asked me like what the system is of how they allot these fines in the ATP rulebook. Unsportsmanlike conduct, and there are sort of varying levels of that and descriptions of that. The fine can be up to $100,000, that as detailed in the rule book. And so supervisors, tournament director, whatever, will sit in a room and they will decide in that range what the fine is going to be. So,
wow.
So no F-bombs, Kim.
Sure, he's not going to say it in once he gets to Wimbledon. Or they're just not going to ask him for on-court interviews.
He might. He's the kind of personality,
I don't know,
who is just going to, be like, no pun intended, F it.
Yeah, but
I give no bleeps.
I don't know, but I don't think he's going to be like, let's just, throw money out the window like that. Like, I hope he's not going to do that. Let's just keep it that way.
I mean, thoughts and prayers to Corentin Moutet, who listen, it was an early round. People maybe weren't paying attention to Queens, and that made its rounds
yes,
on international rounds. So thanks, Corentin, for bringing some attention to tennis. All right, Kim, shall we move on?
We shall.
Kim, your buddy, Angie Kerber, played a farewell match at her tournament now. She's the TD in Bad Homburg. Well, that was a special moment for her.
It was. It was nice to see a sold out stadium. She played one of her closest friends on tour, Anna Ivanovic. And I think the whole announcement, it was a really cool like experience. Like they had a lot of big name German players there. Boris Becker was there. And she played Anna Ivanovic and it was called The Last Serve. And it was emotional. Like she had tears, at the end when she's addressing the crowd. And it's a kind of a big deal to, a lot of these players in their home country are huge stars. And, she had her second baby. So for her to schedule it at this time of the year, a week before, her probably one of her biggest wins at Wimbledon, it is a very nice moment, and it was really nice to see her. She looks in great shape. So she almost looks like she can, join the tour.
Okay, where's her wild card?
Yeah, exactly. Can there be another one? But yeah, it was just nice to see that she can kind of enter, end her career officially in her home country.
Before we move on to Kimformation, I would just love to get your thoughts on how valuable it can be when you bring on someone like, for Jack Draper, Sir Andy Murray, and obviously there's so much respect there. He did say in his post-match interview after winning his first round in Eastbourne, he's like, I haven't called him sir yet. I don't
it's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. But thinking back to, 2023 after Davis Cup, when they were in a car together, Jack had a beverage in hand and they were singing the Proclaimers, I Would Walk 500 Miles. And it was just like total comedy, but there's obviously so much respect there. I don't know. I guess it's easy to give a coach to say, oh, well, that's all they need is the voice of a champion. But in the day-to-day, how helpful is that? And can it work the other way? Can that be overwhelming?
Oh, yeah. I think it can definitely go both ways. And I think the fact that they've known each other, and Andy has always been such an open person, right? That you don't even have to be from his part of the world, or you don't have to be a male player. It can be a female, it can be anybody. Like if you go up to him and you ask him questions about tennis or advice, like he will give you his, he will sit down, take the time and give you advice. And I think that a lot of times is the understanding. Connecting to somebody like that is a lot more valuable than having a great coach with a huge like resume and thinking like, okay, he's going to tell me what to do. Like the connection that you have to feel with a coach is so much more important. So to see the two of them, Andy is really funny. He's got that. Yes. So if you can have fun too, and you can laugh, and he can make you before big moments, especially, for guys like that, like it is, a lot more stressful during, these Wimbledons. And I saw it back in the day with Tim Henman and then with Andy and now, on a guy like Jack, like there is a lot more attention. There's pressure every day. Every newspaper in the country talks about these guys and the pressure that they're on and the expectation. So if you have somebody who's been there, who's gone through that, who can take a little bit of the load away from you or the spotlight away is definitely something that can be very, very helpful. And I'm just happy to see Jack on the court playing and enjoying himself and being healthy.
Yeah, that's right. So and got a decent win over Marcos Giron, who is dangerous on grass. And in the next round, we're going to have the Viore Derby, the two British Jacks, Jack Pennington Jones and Jack Draper, two wearers of Viore clothing. Now, will JPJ, as he's known, go sleeveless when he knows that Jack Draper might also go sleeveless? I'm thinking he should go with sleeves, personally.
Okay.
Moving on now to Kimformation and the topic that I have just been itching to discuss with you, Kim Clijsters. And that is the fact that last week we started our speculative engines about that final Wimbledon ladies singles wildcard, and we were rewarded with confirmation that it was indeed going to Serena Williams. And the sporting world is abuzz. I have so many questions personally. I'm curious what your initial reaction was, Kim, because you didn't think that she was going to enter singles.
No, I didn't think so. But then, the way that, Wimbledon approached it, like holding off, that wild card, seeing a couple of drills online from Serena, I was like, oh, there's some singles drills that she's doing. But I mean, it's really exciting and it draws people. I watched her doubles when I was still in New Jersey. I watched her first doubles match just to see, what was it like. And so, it does trigger people's attention. And I think it will bring so many people to watch Wimbledon first round. And very excited. I'm excited to see what she, for me as a tennis player, I'm going to look at kind of maybe a little bit more critical, I think, than maybe a non-tennis fan. But excited to see, what's the serve going to be like? How's the timing going to be? The movement, those kind of things are the things what I'm going to be looking at. But the fact that she takes on Wimbledon as her first singles event is super impressive. And it kind of just shows like, her mindset and her confidence levels and everything is, I'm surprised that she's doing singles and doubles, that she's starting with, two competitions in one tournament, which is for the body also, a little bit more draining and I mean, but I can't wait. I literally can't wait to see her. Are they going to walk her out on the first match on center?
I mean, who is she going to draw? Like, I'm on the edge of my seat for the draw itself.
Yeah.
Yes. I
there's
mean,
going to be players
possibilities are endless.
Right. There's going to be players that are like, oh my God, this is my dream. Like, I can play Serena. And that there's going to be players that are going to be like, please, no, I don't want to play Serena. Right. Like, you're going to have both. And so I'm just very curious. Like, this is such a fun story, and it will, like I said, we'll just draw so much attention to this moment and the draw. And I do see kind of, not saying a similarity to my situation, but I do see, like, when she speaks to the media and there's a, let's keep the pressure down. Let's not draw too much attention to the result. I think I did something. I think I took a similar approach. Like, I'm here because I want to try it. But deep down, it's still competitive, and you want to win every match that you play and every point, basically. Right. And I think Serena has that competitiveness, super strong in her, and the fact that she's doing this just shows that competitiveness is still there. And it's a competitiveness that is within herself. It's not towards another player or another person. It's within herself, to push herself, and I like seeing that. And I've had girlfriends in the States reach out to me. It's like, why is she doing this? Like, she has nothing, like, they react that way. But I'm like, why not? Like, why wouldn't she do it if she can do it? And she finds it enjoyable and it's fun. Then why not? Like, who's anybody else to say, like, what she can do or what not?
Yeah, that phrase, why not, she has used that exact phrase when she was deciding whether or not to do this, was why not? Why not give it a shot? But Kim, as a 44-year-old who has not played a singles match in almost 4 years, is there a fear in the back of her mind? Because even the matches leading up to her departure at the US Open, like, thinking back to her 7-6 in the third loss to Harmony Tan at Wimbledon in 2022, that was a scratchy match.
Rough, yes.
Is there fear? Because granted, I am not a champion, but I feel like in the back of my mind, there would be concern that I could go out there and it could be terrible. And if it's terrible, what is the reaction like?
Yeah, I think there's always fear. But I think at the end of the day, she can always, it's still going to be early. Like, I don't think we can expect her to, to kind of play tennis, like, with her eyes closed and everything is going to fall into place and she's going to be moving freely and everything like that. Like, to me, I don't think we can expect that. Like, I don't think we can expect, the Serena that we once saw. Right. But I do think that with the type of tennis that she's capable of playing and that she can play on grass, rallies are shorter. She has a great serve. She has a great return. So the first two shots of the rally, she's so good at. Like, she sees the ball so well. So those are little things for me to see, like, or the things that I would worry about more was, how is her reaction? Like, how is her eyesight? Like that, you can train and you can get fit and everything, but it's those kind of things will start to slow down as well. And how fast will we be able to, or how quickly we'll be able to notice a difference compared to a few years ago. So it's little things like that. I mean, we saw her hit some really great serves in doubles. She was super focused, super locked in. But then again, there's some, timing issues with some volleys that came at her where you're like, oh, she's a little slow, but then you understand, like, the timing, your eyes have to adjust again as well. So it will take time. I think Renee Stubbs is working with her, right? On the tennis, as a coaching. I don't know who else is part of her team. If they're, she has her hitting partner with her, she has a trainer and,
you didn't see her trading cards, Kim? Did you see
I
those?
saw them, but I don't remember.
Neither do I, but they do exist. Should anyone want to know who's on her team, she detailed them in these AI looking trading cards, but continue.
No, so that to me was like, it just, she's taking it on as if she's there to go and cause damage, right? She's not there just to be a part of it and to enjoy taking her family to Wimbledon and, and just, try to play a match. And it's like, she's taking it on with the approach of, causing damage, and which is great. And I love seeing it. And I can't wait for her to get fired up and get, excited about playing and hit some incredible shots. And, so it'll be really, really interesting and fun to watch. And, the crowd's going to love it.
Yeah. And Harmony Tan, we should mention in qualies. I have not checked to see if she's still alive, but we could have a rematch.
That could be right. But imagine if she plays a British player, or if, there's so many fun ways there that this draw could go, and where you have she could play a seeded player, she could play a top 5 player, she could play, British player. Like there's so many fun routes that this could go. So when is the draw coming out actually?
It is indeed on Friday, which Kim, that means, actually, hang on, before I talk about what that means, that the draw is coming out, I do want to mention that on Monday, with all of this buzz happening, Serena is tweeting, quote, "Just finished a mean game of Duck, Duck, Goose."
Listen, I learned that game. Is that how I say it? I was taught by my husband to play Duck, Duck, Goose. It's something that we didn't have in Belgium. In Belgium, it's called Zakdoekleggen, I think. But it was, I love playing Duck, Duck, Goose. We played that so many times, especially on the Indian Wells grass court, the training warm-up field.
Who is we? You
my team.
Brian? No, your whole what?
Yeah, Brian and I. That's how we are. That was date night. Is Duck, Duck, Goose. No,
wait,
I
had no idea Kim was gonna have commentary on Duck, Duck, Goose. Who knew? Wait, so you guys did it as a fun warm up?
Yeah. And with Jada, it was fun, to involve her in something, it was just a fun, we played it a lot, actually.
Well, listen, I bet Serena thought she was a trailblazer there. Little did she know that Kim Clijsters did it first. That's amazing.
No.
I love it. Well, yes, my point in saying that Serena is out doing Serena, as she often does, for maximum exposure.
Right, but that's the fun part that a lot of people get to see now. We know that, she played when she had her daughter, but to now see her as a 2-time mother and with the family there, and it's fun to see, and it just shows where our sport has grown into, right? Is where we see now, I remember a couple of years ago we talked about there was 20 mothers in the draw, with doubles, mixed doubles, and singles, and and then I think when I played in 2010, I was the only one. So in over 15 years, we were now with 20 mothers in the draw, which is super exciting to see. And I'm happy that there's, Tatiana Maria, she has two daughters. Serena now has 2 daughters and playing. There's plenty of women playing with, who have one kid. And so it's really fun, and I'm excited, and I can't wait again. I can't wait for Friday to see the draw come out.
Well, do you know what that also though means for us, Kim?
That we're not going to see each other for a few weeks?
Well, that, which is breaks my heart. And also what perhaps breaks my heart is that we have to once again make picks in the Serve Bracket Challenge.
Oh, man.
Yes. So get your picks ready. But I don't know. This seems like one of the more... it's so funny. The Australian Open happened, and I think maybe not on the women's side, but on the men's side, we're like, what is there to be excited about? And now I don't know if it's Roland Garros PTSD or what, but both on the men's and women's side, it's tear up your predictions. Anything could happen. Is there a feeling that you have on whether it's the men's side or women's side, or a dark horse that's coming to your mind, or someone you've got your eye on?
I feel like on the grass courts, I think Tatiana Maria can always cause some upsets. There's so many players who don't like playing against her because she has that, very unorthodox kind of game style. And so to me, like, I like seeing that kind of, players who are so good on a surface where their game really matches, a surface well. And so, she's somebody that I'm like, yeah, like she can make it really tricky for a lot of players. And, because on any other surface, a lot of her shots would just get punished. And, but it works on grass. And, but yeah, I'm very interested to see Jessie. I think, she's ready to win a slam, and I think, yeah, she can do it probably better on the grass courts. And so kind of want to see her win one. Yeah, I mean, there's so many directions a draw can go, and I'm just already like sweating a little thinking about that we have to fill out a bracket.
I am absolutely sweating. So that will be coming, I guess, next week and all of you can join in. We would love to have you be probably better than we are. So this is your opportunity.
Just to beat us. Yes.
Okay, Kim, it's time for Rec Room. Do you have a recommendation for us this week before we sign off?
I have something. I don't think it's that big of a mention. It's just something that I've used every day since I'm here. It's one of these, Blair.
Oh, one of these bands.
Yep, it's easy to travel with. I take them on the plane so I can do some exercises when I'm laying down or sitting, so I can keep my foot moving and do some ankle exercises. Now I have to start to activate kind of my glutes and, do some squats with them. So I kind of always have a few of these with me, whether it's in my pocketbook or in my tennis bag. And so this is where I do my exercises when I'm watching a soccer game so I like these kind of bands, easy to travel. And
yeah, and it's pretty inexpensive too, right?
Very, yes.
I think that's a good one. You had my expectations low, but that's a great suggestion.
Thanks.
I loved it. Okay, my recommendation this week, Kim, is actually what I am wearing today. This is just a basic brown tee, but when it comes to t-shirts, I am so picky. I like a high neck. So this has the high neck.
Very cute.
This is the Uniqlo Airism tee, is what it's called. And I think they're like $17. They are, again, I have some embarrassingly expensive t-shirts where if you knew that I paid that much for a white tee, you'd be like, what is wrong with you? But these are just as good and so inexpensive. And I have this in several colors. This is my brown. I think I probably wore my black last week. But I feel like the high neck just sort of makes it a little more formal, so you can dress it up a little bit more. But yeah, the Uniqlo Airism tees are amazing. Highly recommend. And it's what I travel with too, because black tee and jeans, easy, throw it
Simple.
on in.
I like it. I like the style.
So there you go.
I tend to look for a little V-neck sometimes because I have a round head and just need to make this a little longer.
Really? Is that a strategy?
Yes, I think so. That's what I got told.
I have a long head, so
that's
that
why
makes
that
sense.
Works.
So
yes. So do they have these in a V-neck too, Blair?
They probably do. I'll send you the link, Kim.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Kim, it was so fun catching up with you. I always love getting all of your takes, and I'm sure there will be more where that came from on Love All Socials, both with me in New York. Kim's going to be at Wimbledon, and we're going to have some explainers, a little bit of everything for you. So make sure to follow us at Love All Podcast, like and subscribe on YouTube as well, both served and at Love All Podcast. We would love to have you do both if you have not already. And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, fill out those brackets, peoples.